Hello, and welcome back to the Rich Revolutionaries podcast. Today we have on another very special guest. We have Natalie Farrell, singer, author, and founder of the Universal Streamers Agency, which she's going to tell us all about. And Natalie is also a dear council member of the Light Language Summit that is in full launch mode right now, which we're also going to get into. So, Natalie, thank you for
Mm,
being here. And will you please introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and your magic in the world?
mm. Thank you so much for inviting me, as ever. It's beautiful to land in this space. And we just danced in, didn't we? We
Mhm.
danced in, and so yeah, you said I'm a singer, I'm a vocalist, I'm a sound artist, an engineer. I create landscapes for people to immerse themselves in, but through sound and through words and through resonance and through frequency. And there's never been a time that is more poignant for frequency because the earth is very open now. We're in the age of Aquarius. We have a lot of connection with the aurora, the sound coming back. I mean, sound healing came kind of back in, I think, about 5, 6 years ago. It started to become very popular in England. So, it's part of a revolution for us as humans to come back to sound, like one of the senses that we kind of find difficult, including listening. I'm also an author, a wordsmith, I would say more. I love playing. I love playing with
Mhm.
words. I started writing when I was little. I used to write poems. And I think, like the emotion, they were my energy in motion. So I've always used writing as a way to express myself. And I've always, ironically, even though I'm a singer, which means that I'm a communicator, somebody that works with connection through word, sound, and obviously sharing that out to to the audience, to whoever's there to receive it. I find it easier to write than to speak, but
Mm.
this is changing now in the last kind of 3, 4 years. Um, so yeah, it's been a real journey for me. I'm just in my 46th year, and not that age is it doesn't matter, but it's just important to know that we're all on. I like to call it a vocal voyage now. We're all
Ooh.
on this journey, and yeah, we have to find. I suppose I'm finding a newfound respect for what I was doing in my early 20s to my mid 30s, and the
Mhm.
changes that have happened. So yeah, that's who I am, and
Hmm.
so much more.
Let's dive into this so much more. You were talking about those early poems and then what that transformed to in your 20s and 30s. Here on the Rich Revolutionaries podcast, like to get into what I call rebirth stories and kind of
Mm.
pull the thread through of what are those catalytic moments or the seeds of origin of who you are today. So can you take us back a little bit and maybe share when were some of those moments that your writing came into the light and was shared through your voice and actually witnessed by others? Because um, I love to sing as well, but I've only sung once at my last Yin and Sound. I play the sound bowls as well, or used to. I haven't recently. Um,
Hmm.
class, and I felt this like deep recalibration and reclamation in my system with that. And I'd love to hear your experience with that journey.
Mm. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Oh. So that poem that I wrote, and I can still see it, next door was a picture of Roald Dahl. He was one of my favorite authors. So it was rather odd for a little 9-year-old to have this poem with this image. Um, and I think that's important. The oddness, the feeling different,
Hmm.
not understanding why at the age of 14 other people weren't listening to opera singers, but they had pictures of boy bands on their walls. To how the music led me, the sound of my natural tone, which has always been classical, always resonated in that opera tone. Um, yeah, to things like I would say standing on the sidelines, to being an edge dweller, to being a lone wolf, which I was talking about on Instagram recently,
Mm.
and how now I understand, that's it's okay to be the lone wolf. But
Mhm.
through these decades, of course, we so many of us go through wanting to fit in. Yeah, I think it's, I don't think we can get away with it actually. I think it is part of the human, like you said, reclamation. It's part of our learning. I did always felt like I stood out, that I didn't quite fit in. And, I tried, but I've always had one or two friends I know that I can chat with, that I can be open with. My sister being one of those in the last kind of few years, and yeah, that's just been very, very important to me as we've been reclaiming parts of our youth that were
Mm.
lost. Um, and the voice is a thread through the whole of it. Whether I was singing, whether I was teaching singing, and then or performing, auditioning, to being silent.
Mhm.
The voice has a thread, so we don't have to talk to use our voice. I yeah, I'm really, really here to help people to understand how to release the voice, especially if they're feeling silenced.
Mm. Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it's it's so much to explain in a way, but the I almost traumatized. I traumatized myself. I lost myself. I lost my voice through my perfectionist traits,
Mm.
and through yeah, through yeah, just stifled myself in the middle of my life. It started to
Mhm.
get very, very stifled, very confused, and I understand now why. But I was just getting smaller and smaller, and being in relationships that weren't working, and just stopping myself.
Mhm.
So when I think back to the freedom of that little girl writing the poem and the creativity, I'm definitely back there now. Like I've got all of that freedom, but it was a real like mess in the middle.
Mhm. We love the messy middle here.
It
Hmm.
was a
And
mess in the middle.
do you remember the first time that, as your little girl self, you picked up the mic and performed in front of an audience?
Yes, I do. So it was I just joined secondary school and I signed up to sing a solo. And I remember standing on stage. It was a snowman. I don't know whether you know of the song "Walking in the Air," it's called. And I totally forgot the words. And then I remember my two aunts and my mum standing up and going, just saying, Natalie, get back on stage. You can do this. So I
Oh.
went, yeah, so I went back on stage and I carried on singing. And I think the ovation, like the applause and the standing ovation was because I got back up and I did it.
Hmm.
And I think it's just such a beautiful theme to to remind us all, you know, there's no such thing as failure. It's only feedback, and
Hmm.
just having a go. Um, and but that didn't, you know, it didn't stop me. I would then get back on stage a lot. Yeah, for the next kind of 15, 16 years.
Okay.
Mm.
Something that would stop me from sharing my voice, because, like I said, I did these yin and sound classes for pretty much twice a week for a year. And I would always get this like big energy surge moving through my body, and it would kind of get stuck in my throat. And it would be like, it would want to come out, and that would be the song. But my body didn't feel like it had the capacity to like really anchor in that and trust that transmission. And so I would label that energy as anxiety and be like, oh, I'm too anxious to sing, and kind of get stuck in that excuse of these sensations are overwhelming. And over time, what has allowed me to share more of my voice and even bringing this podcast forward has been reframing my relationship with those sensations to actually see them as like, oh, this is like source energy. This is a transmission of creativity that is much beyond me, and it is such a disservice to myself and to the people that I'm meant to reach to label that as something that's too much, that feels overwhelming. And if I can just show up and allow what comes through to come through and let those sensations be shaky and let myself be sweaty and let all of these thoughts of like, oh my gosh, I can't do it. Like, what are people going to think? What if I forget my words? Like, what if da, 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 XYZ happens? Just let all that be there and show up anyway and see what happens. And then eventually, through building that muscle of resilience and showing up, then the sensations become less overwhelming. The capacity actually expands around it versus trying to get rid of it to show up. And I
Mm.
found that that reframe is something that I bring forward in all of my spaces and client work to what has now become my embodied evolution method. And
Mm.
I'm curious to hear more on your end of, from that little girl self who had this experience of wanting to run away, but then coming back and having such a positive response from the audience. I can imagine similar to myself, before I found my voice again, there was this stage of teenage years, early adulthood where the social pressures to quote unquote fit in really revolve around this, like, in my experience, this assimilation to like drinking and partying culture. And so I'm curious what that like contraction phase looked like for you, and then how it carried through to be the expansion that you're in now.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I think I kind of through through kind of like my teens into my 20s, and it was all about I was studying, and I enjoyed studying, and I did like going out, but only, again, it's just I'm always with just a few people, and but I was very serious.
Mm-hmm.
And conscientious, and um so I suppose in that restriction, it just meant that I kind of stayed within my within my in my own space. And yeah, it was all yeah, just a lot about study. Um, and wanting to get it right,
Mhm.
wanting to get it right. So that's that perfectionism. And but there's also approval seeking that was coming in as well, like get it right, not just not for me, but who can I impress? There we go, it's coming out now, like that, especially through going through audition stages to entering, like I got into music college. And yeah, it was so pressurized. It was so pressurized that I just it just all collapsed for me because I couldn't keep up with it. I couldn't keep up with myself. Um and there it just all the fun was dried out,
Mhm.
and obviously, like what we know now, like the drying out of, yeah, like my myofascia my myofascia was just getting kind of dry. Everything was getting dry. And yeah, so I actually stopped singing. And
Mhm.
yeah, I stopped singing. I was teaching, but I stopped singing because yeah, I think I'd lost belief in myself. But there was always this little voice kind of going, Natalie, God gave you a gift. You've been gifted this voice. And the other gifts that I started to uncover and understand through my teaching, because I taught for 12 years, voice coaching, was to give other people confidence in their voice, in their abilities, in their skills. Um, so I think this time of you know being in the desert was actually, that's what I love. Like you said, the polarities. It is actually fruitful to be there with
Mhm.
myself, in my feelings, and having to question myself and having to search again. Um, and that's, it's kind of long story short, but that's really where I came back to writing again. And kind of around lockdown time, uh, more space was opening up, and I got kind of ten titles for 10 chapters. And that turned into me writing my first book. And because there was so much space, uh, I actually came out of, well, I had the space to write, I had the space to center myself, focus,
Mhm.
because we were just talking about this actually, about being easily distracted, and
Mhm.
I think Audrey just said we were in the distraction era.
Mhm.
And I've definitely managed to find a centering, and my own center now, and step out of the distractions. And it's interesting that you mentioned partying, because I've never been a great one for partying, or but I actually did decide to give up drinking,
Mhm.
to give up toxicity three years ago. It's nearly 3 years. And woo, woo, yeah, like I
A
had
big
to,
celebration.
yeah, I had to, yeah, it was just, it was also to calm the rosacea in my skin and honor my body. And but there was something much bigger going on for me in
Mhm.
my, like being a generational chain breaker, um being a para alcoholic, as I'd grown up with alcoholism, and just breaking these chains.
Mhm.
um and yeah, within that, so much clarity has come.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can imagine. I want to ask you more about your book. But first, I just want to like celebrate myself a little bit over here because I'm five and a
Celebrate.
half years sober. I went down a path of like alcoholism and substance abuse in my like early adulthood, late teen years, and very much lost myself and talk about learning through the contraction and that being the catalyst for the next expansion. And I remember in the end stages of that, and even, briefly throughout, I'd have these moments of kind of like clarity and levity of being like, what's the point? Like, what is the point? Like, what are we here for? Like, what am I here for? And I remember journaling one day and it really came down to like, you're here to create meaning and for yourself and to inspire others to do the same. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
I'm
feel
here to
like,
crack people open. That's what I'm here to do.
yeah, I feel like when we write a book, and I have a few
Mm.
books in me too that have yet to come out, that we, as much as we become authors, we become authored by the book.
Mm.
And I'd love to hear more about, you haven't even told me the title. What's the book about? And like kind of your process of birthing it.
Mm. So the book is called Light the Way, and it's at this point I felt there wasn't like a step-by-step guide for a spiritual awakening. Um, and a real spiritual awakening because like I had maybe a childhood kind of image of deities and garlands around around our heads,
Mhm.
and it isn't like that.
No.
It's
It can be at
it's
times,
sometimes
but
sometimes, but
overall.
overall, there's grit, there's dirt, like you said, there's mess. Um, in actual fact, I was going to say imperfection, but there's no such thing as perfection, so there's no such thing as imperfection. It's what the word that I'm claiming now is real. It's
Mm,
it's it's real life, but it's real life untethered. It's real
mm,
life that has is come out of denial.
ooh,
When we're coming out of denial, when we're taking off the masks, and we're admitting to ourselves, as you and I will know that on the journeys that we've been through, because when you take away a substance or you take away alcohol, you're going to start to take away people,
mm-hmm,
situations, environments,
mm-hmm,
noise. Then distraction, and that I suppose they're all subheadings for distraction and distortions, and
mm-hmm,
so yeah, the book was part biographical, and then what started to come through for me was this idea of becoming the cosmic dancer.
mm,
And so part three was about me talking about a soul family. And I mean, I love how you say being authored,
mm-hmm.
because when I reread the what I'd written, I literally was like, have I written this? How did I write this?
Yeah.
It really, again, like I said, this month of April 2026 is slippery. That's it felt like. It was
Mm-hmm,
slipping through me. It was igniting me, waking me up, shifting me, shaking me. Um, and as my good friend Nicola Humber says, you have to sometimes, if you get, it's not writer's block, it's just that you haven't experienced yet what you're wanting and needing to write about for the next part or the next
mm-hmm,
chapter, of your story, of your book. And so yeah, I think it was about 7, 8 months of writing, and it was beautiful. The challenge, it was all things. Um, yeah, and I love it. And I created an audio version as well, because a year on I did that. It felt so important for me to put my voice in, and this is where like the
mm-hmm,
tone work, the vibration, the frequency started to come in. But just going back to part three again and cosmic dance, because I think this is important, because I talked about being an edge dweller, and really this was to give people permission to accept their difference
mm-hmm,
and know that there are other people out there who who also feel different. And when we're going through that transition, a spiritual awakening, the transition, it can feel very, very lonely. It's difficult to talk out loud.
mm-hmm,
Maybe even the word spirituality. I've become more comfortable with that in the last year and a half. um yeah, so we're kind of stepping out of ourselves and stepping over ourselves to find ourselves and reclaim. what is our authenticity, our voice that isn't being diminished or augmented or kind of changed by anybody else's perspectives. And yeah, so I started talking about soul family. I had like a glossary in there for
Mm.
sayings, so that part was fun to write.
Hmm. Something that's coming to mind hearing you share this is my own experience with this pattern of always feeling like you said, like an edge dweller, an edge walker. And I would do this thing, and it's a very neurodivergent thing to do. So I'd observe people and observe like relationship dynamic and social dynamics, be like trying to figure this whole thing out. Like how's this working? Like how are these people like connecting and doing all these things together? Because my preference as a child was always to just like sit by a tree or like walk around with teachers, and everybody was like kind of
Mm.
running around and screaming and like pushing each other, and I was like, whoa, that's a lot. And so eventually I started to feel like there was something like wrong with me, and now I know there's nothing wrong with me. I just have a very different blueprint and design, and instead of anchoring into that and allowing that to bloom, I was observing other people and being like making pacts with myself. I remember at the end of every school year, I'd be like, okay, this year I'm going to make friends and this is how I'm going to do it, and come up with this whole plan of how to like infiltrate the social circles. Because I felt like, especially as a teenager when we're developing, it's like social needs and bonds become really like the forefront of your life versus before it was kind of more of like the familial dynamic, which also wasn't somewhere where I felt like I fit in. Um, and so that created this imprint where I was putting on this social mask of what I saw happening like collectively, where people were relating on, and I'd show up in that, and that's exhausting. So it was
Mm.
only ever really sustainable in these like friend groups that I'd kind of infiltrate and like masquerade inside of for like a couple years at a time, and then I'd be like full send like nope, I'm out, and kind of like repeat that cycle. And even until my adult life, last year I found myself inside of this mastermind space, and it just was not the space that was going to see and support me in the way that I needed at this point in my journey and in my business. And there was this like external motivator to be in the like in with the cool crowd, in with the people that are like the 7, 8 figure earners, in with the people who, have the shiny marketing and business and the whole lifestyle that comes around that. And I have no doubt in my mind that I'm going to amount to success that feels authentic to me, and that I already have success that feels authentic to me in a very different model. Like, I live in Mexico on the beach. I get to like barefoot walk out my door, and like 2 minutes
Mm.
I'm on the beach. I get to eat freshly grown food from local markets, and I get to go swimming in the ocean at midday, and I have a lot of spaciousness in my life to be in contemplation, and all these things are success in its own right, and there's still that room to grow and to evolve. And I feel like this year I've really allowed myself to recognize that imprint and that pattern and reclaim my inner authority and be anchored in that. And there's still these like edges that I navigate in social settings, especially um, if it's again that like very like loud and like busy environment. I'm like, whoa. Um,
I'm with you.
uh-huh. Yeah, so I'm curious of how you find um your grounding anchor and stay true to yourself in the way that you're moving through the world in your own pace and the way that you put out your offers into the world and what that process looks like for you and maybe how you bring that forward into your client work as well.
Mm. Well, trust is a big, big thing for me. That way, I just want to say there's so much identification for me. I just I can't be in big, loud spaces or noises, or if I am, I can only do it for a little time. So this is also part of it. It's knowing when it's time to leave the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's knowing when I, in actual fact, that's enough for me. Thank you very
Mm-hmm.
much. Like I've taken my fill and yeah, and leaving. And there's so much coming up around mission slips, I think, in the last couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
and sisters sharing that and offering that guidance for each other. Um, so I would say that is a that's one thing actually that keeps me grounded is actually, knowing what I want. That's a simple example. So every Friday I go and I sing like with some friends, and normally go for curry afterwards. But I've just been on a week holiday, so tomorrow I want to go and sing, but I don't want to go for the curry. So I'm going to come home,
Mm-hmm.
and there's simple things. People will be like, "Oh, what's that?" But it's for me that's important because I'm a recovering people pleaser. Or I
Mm-hmm.
learned a new one, a servaholic. I was like, "Oh my goodness,"
Ah.
like so when you've lived like that for so many years, externally, looking to others to fill you up, then this so I love those simple things. But um yeah, saying yes, saying no when it's right for me. I ground myself taking my doggy for a walk. I also
Mm-hmm.
live close to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
So water is very, very important for me. And
Mm-hmm.
I did not know this. So I was really seeing all the elementals around you as well, like as you were speaking, and like child of the earth, and it's just beautiful. And thinking about little Natalie again, and I used to climb trees. I had a swing on the tree. I just used to
Mm-hmm.
again. I used to talk to birds, the sheep, and my rabbits that I had. They were my pets at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, so I sometimes walk to the beach, and it depends how the waves are that I might sing to them, I might talk to them, be with them. I love looking at the water. I love being
Mm-hmm.
so close to the water. Um, and again, nourishing myself. So I've learned through in my messy stage, I was abusing my body through not eating.
Mm-hmm.
So I've reframed that, and I'm now fueling myself, but I'm being honest about it. I'm having to keep myself accountable, and that helps me to stay centered, to stay true, um, to have difficult conversations, to be just present and aware with my inner feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That keeps me grounded. Um, yeah, and with my offerings. Um, so I have really kind of come full circle to being in the voice work again and singing. And after I'd written the book, again, I've just re-released. It was the first EP. I went into a studio and I said to the sound engineer, I said, "Okay, I've got four titles. I don't know what's going to come out, but this is what we're going to do." And I had my bowls as well, so I'd chosen two crystal bowls, and ironically or not, of course, they were the same color as the front cover of my book.
Ah.
Um, and one is the all is one energy, and one of them is the healing the transcendent male, because I've been very stuck in my masculinity,
Mm,
constantly doing and pushing uphill, and there was no connection to the femininity, um, and yeah, and that was very much like what you were sharing with me. So thank you for opening up about that, and how the sound got stuck there, and how you've
mm,
reframed that, and you've allowed your body to sing you, even if
yeah.
you're. I always say loud and proud, strong and wrong. And it's the the voice is so vulnerable as an instrument. It
Mhm,
is an instrument, you know, um,
absolutely.
and it's an instrument. And I just closed my eyes, and I donged the F sharp, and these sounds just ooh, and we just kept going and
Mm,
going, and I kept layering and layering. So, like 9D breath work, it was like this immersive sound experience that I was creating through my own templates, like you said, my own
mhm,
imprints, my own remembering, my soul work, my truth.
mm.
And I think there's no coincidence that it's being re-released the day before the Light Language Summit opening ceremony.
Yes, yes. I want to get into that a little bit
Yeah.
more as well.
Mm, mm.
And so, for those who don't know, the Light Language Summit is a high frequency coevolution that is being broadcasted right now from a council of 15 collaborators. And what's really unique about the Light Language Summit is that it was created in collaboration from inception to delivery. It wasn't one person doing it all on their own, and then we just show up and um, speak our hour session, and kind of that's it. Like we've really intentionally woven our wisdom together from creative ideas to branding to marketing to sales to profit sharing to promoting each other and cross-pollinating audiences, right? Because that is the frequency that we're bringing forward with this summit. And I would love to hear you speak on what you have in store for us. What do you have up your sleeve for your session? And can you tell us when it is?
Mm. So I believe it's called the magnetic voice.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna take people through a cycle. So there's going to be four stages within the hour session. And I have to remember because it's all started coming through for me at the weekend. Um, this is going to be like three cycles of four sections, so I kind of see them kind of all together. And the first section is going to be around uh, the release of the voice.
Mm,
Mm. And that I see as a friendship as well. So making friends with your own voice, however it is. And as always, we have to get rid of the blockages, but we need to know what they are first. So we're gonna work in some way through that. So a lot of my work it's so intuitive. So I'll open up the space and I'll see who's in there, and I will, like I was doing some coding in the session just then.
yes.
So Yeah, so with everybody's permission, I can tune in to the energies within the room, and or the other energies that may be coming through for our highest, purpose. And then I see the next cycle as like an agreement. So we have an agreement to let out and release the voice.
Mm.
So we'll be working in agreement. I feel like everyone's going to be muted so that they can just really, really let out anything that comes in. There'll be some
Mhm.
journaling prompts, and yeah, and then we're going to go into, oh my goodness, what are we going to go into next? Yeah, the reclamation. This is the ownership. Yeah. So owning the voice, and whatever that will look like for people. And at that point, I think I'm going to also put in, if people want to start to open themselves, give themselves permission, are they going to be receivers of light language as well? It's not
Mm.
necessary, but are they coming? Are they attracted to my session because they actually feel that they are transmitters? I see it as we are transmitters, that we're not channelers. We're remembering the ancient codes within our
Mm.
DNA. So there's going to be some ownership in that, and
Mm.
then we're going to go into the leadership, into the resonant truth, and bring the voice up, and then I'm going to open it up for 15 minutes. For Cosmic Songbird to take over, and if people have
Ooh.
questions that they would like me to sing into, blockages that they have. Yeah, so I've been seeing this for a very long time, but it hasn't happened. So I see like an audience with Cosmic Songbird. So yeah, so I'm going to open up for 15 minutes for the transmissions to come through, for people to receive. Yeah, so it's going to be
Yeah.
very, very, very hands-on, it's
Mm.
interactive. It's
Yeah,
going to
I
be
love
very
that.
interactive. Mm,
I
yeah.
love stepping into a space where it's an experiential learning portal versus like receiving a lot of information. I like to play with
Yeah.
it and get it into the
Yeah.
body.
Yeah.
So
I
I
got something
think,
here that's written that says people don't learn this topic, they feel the relief of being heard.
yes, yeah, that's
Mm,
it.
mm,
That's it.
yeah.
I've had I want to say singer, but she always says that she's not a performer. She's a reformer in the way that she sings. And she always told me that the biggest component of singing is listening, is first hearing
Mm,
the sound and then
mm,
allowing that to be expressed.
mm.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's a full body experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Love.
I'm at my most embodied that I've ever been. I
Mm.
I live inside of my body now. I was just a visitor for probably the first 40 years of my life, but
Mm.
now I'm fully landed. I'm fully in love.
Mm.
And with myself, and all higher, the higher parts of myself as well.
Hmm.
Um, and I will be introducing some of that as well, like on dimensional levels, within
Hmm.
these three circles
Hmm.
that I see as we take ourselves into a washing machine and go in a
Ooh.
little bit of a cycle,
I
cycle
love
wash.
that.
Yeah, but I love that as well. Yeah, and yeah, my teacher that I work with in my late 20s would talk about the wave, and how the sound is the
Mm.
wave, and sorry, the air is the wave, the breath is the wave, and the sound, we need to allow the sound to ride on the wave. And I feel
Mhm.
that that's similar. And if we're pushing, if we're trying, well, in life in general, it's not just with singing or making sound.
Mhm.
but definitely in singing, because if we sing, if we push too much here, which could be something you were experiencing on more of a technical side as well, then our voice box can collapse, it can compress,
Yeah,
and it won't let the sound out. So
absolutely.
we have to be in our flow. We have to let the body sing us.
Hmm.
And I think yeah, this is for life as well,
Yeah.
you know?
That really ties into what I'm going to be bringing forward in my session at the Light Language Summit.
Tell
That
me.
is what I'm calling the New Earth Marketing Codex.
I cannot
And
wait.
yes, oh, I was just reading the form that you submitted for this podcast, and I was like, wow, we are speaking the same language, sister. And essentially, what we're going to be dropping into through an embodied experience is to leverage our too muchness. And so that can look like a menu, a buffet menu of options, where you've been labeled as too spiritual, too emotional, too serious, too smart, too sensual, too sexual, too silly, anything under the rainbow. That is actually our genius. And when we can
Mm,
allow that to move through our body, I love what you said about the voice collapsing, because, right, this is
mm,
like, there's a lot of nodes and like neural plexus of our nervous system, like in our voice too. And so that collapse is this like freeze, this shutdown energy. And when we can move that through the body, there's actually a lot of energy there that's available to be mobilized. And
mm,
on the flip side of that, what can happen, and this is the other part of what I'll be sharing, is we can go into hypermobility, which is when we're in that hyperarousal state of pushing, of forcing. And so in my session too, through the embodied evolution method, we're going to feel into what it's like to release that pressure, to rush, to prove, and to perform.
mm,
Mhm. I'm so excited.
mm.
So my session is on April 17th. So that is a week and a day from
Yeah.
today.
And mine's on April the 22nd, which is Earth Day. So I
Ooh.
think I might follow you, or there might be one in between us. But it's
Hmm.
so beautiful. Yeah, I mean, this is so poignant for me as well because I told you about the first part of my life, and I was a performer, and I would stand on stage, and I knew that I had a way to have the audience in my hands through performance. It was still genuine,
Hmm.
but now it's all about presence.
Yeah.
It's about presence over perfection, presence over performance.
Hmm.
And like last year, I set up the Power of Us. It was two events. There will be more, but it was all around being unedited, being unpolished,
Hmm.
and unforgettable. Just
Hmm.
having this, people were coming and going, wow, this is like live transmission. I was giving people permission, or I'm giving people permission always to stand up and just be.
Hmm.
And there's something in the freedom that comes from freestyling and allowing ourselves to make mistakes, allowing ourselves to collapse. And the voice itself, it's a gateway.
Hmm.
The throat is, I mean, it's so, you talk about sensual, but I mean, it's so elegant. We're
Hmm.
so vulnerable,
Yeah.
and I know our other sister, Natalie Wallace has, talks a lot into this as well, how so
Hmm.
many of us have had it kind of cut off, like I believe that
Hmm.
I was one of those that had you know, what did I wrote it down one day. I was like, oh, I love how I've written it, like my vocal cords suspended in air, just
Hmm.
cut off and slaughtered
Yeah.
and suspended, like there they were, just the cords in the air. And so
Hmm.
this is what it's all about. It's about giving ourselves, allowing ourselves to make the noise, to be heard, and firstly to hear ourselves. And yeah, I love that. It's just, and it has to be experienced. We got to
Yeah.
do it. We have to let the voices out.
Yeah. And allow all of those like exiled emotions of like terror and grief and shame and guilt and fear and rage like be felt through the body. Like I talk a
Mm.
lot about the dark feminine in my work, and there's a very calculated reason why those emotions are labeled as low vibration or labeled as negative emotions. And
Mhm.
they are holding so much energy that we get to alchemize and create from. And the reason why there is so much propaganda around the suppression of them is because of the power that they hold to build a new earth, to reweave an
Mm.
ancient future.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow, yes, I am feeling that. And it's
Mhm.
also the reason why kind of especially up to my 40s I felt it was too much for me even to let that part of myself out, the
Exactly.
the good girl. And I've done
Mhm.
some inner maiden work as well, like getting stuck in my
Mhm.
wood cycle, and oh yeah, just yeah, exactly. And yeah, being this audacious leader now, being yeah, being so comfortable in whatever I'm here to announce on that day, or
Mhm.
activate on that day, or actually go into rest on that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something else I wanted to respond to. Yeah, you're talking in the way that the light language, summit's come together.
Mhm.
And for me, I just want to give a shout out to yourself, and to all the other collaborators, because I wrote a series back about 3 or 4 years ago about growing rich through co-creation. And
Mm.
I'd already seen this, and I'd already seen it would be so much easier if we could come together and if we could create together and
Yeah.
support each other. So to be in this space now, finally.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's beautiful. And also, just one more thing I want to say about the voice is that the throat is actually, I learned recently, it's all about our archetypes.
Mhm.
The fifth chakra is the archetypes.
Mm.
So I was like, wow, of course it is. And what you're saying, that we've been stuck, like frozen in these archetypal stereotypes.
Yeah.
And yeah, the archetypes are great, but I love your word revolution, and
Mhm.
we're here to revolt. We're here to, yeah, to set new pathways, new boundaries, the new
Yeah.
earth, the new ways. And
The thing with
yeah, as I said,
archetypes is that they're always going to exist in the collective unconscious.
mm,
But when we can like shine our like gaze inward or even like look outward from this like central core pillar of pure consciousness and see those archetypes at play for what they are, then our power to consciously choose how we want to engage in the play is restored. Do I want
yes.
to be performing this role in like the sacred play of the universe? Or do I want to choose to step outside of this and try something else on? And no, yes, we want to know how to drop that performance mask. And my experience with it is that to drop anything, we first need to fully allow ourselves to inhabit it, to fully
Mm.
incarnate as that thing that we're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, first you need to feel fully in your body and your cells what that thing is, or else you're going to keep
Mm.
separating yourself from it, keep dissociating from it, and never be able to
Mm.
actually move through the portal and reap the wisdom of what that mask was here to teach you.
Mm. Beautifully, beautifully exclaimed.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah,
There's
we gotta feel it to heal it. We gotta
exactly.
sit in it. And that's why sound
Hmm.
is it's so it's so delicious for as a tool for what you've just been speaking about.
Hmm.
To yeah, to hear your own sound, to use your own sound to yeah, navigate change, transformation, and of course, using our voices to be on a podcast, using our voices to pitch something that we're sharing into the world,
Hmm.
and to do it from trust and truth and from the authentic tone.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you start taking those masks off, and you know, we're for me, I feel like I'm always showing up. I'm making a vow to myself to continuously show up in my truth. And
Hmm.
if I haven't, then I'll share that as well, you know,
Yeah.
and that then allows us to emit from a deeper space within ourselves,
Hmm.
emit emit a voice that is yeah, like a pulse, a rhythm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're waking that up, and that will be part of the session as well, I'm sure, for
Hmm.
people to feel, yeah, their own rhythm, their own pulse. Um, yeah, and I love the word magnificence, to come
Ooh,
back.
I like
Yeah,
that
I
one
love that
too.
word.
Again, I'm like seeing like colorful feathers. When I think magnificent, I think like colorful feathers. Uh,
Ah, I love
on
that.
that note,
Mm.
there's a couple of questions that are like burning in me to ask you. So I'm gonna bring those forward to kind of loop us into closing off because I've had you here for almost
Mm.
over an hour now.
Yeah.
Um, who is the cosmic songbird? Is she you? Is she something you channel? Is she an entity that has come down from the ethers that moves through you? Tell me more.
Mm. So Cosmic Songbird was in Atlantis,
Mm.
and the power of us stands for universal streamers.
Ah.
So what I say, like the original light beamers. And this all started to open up to me, as I was using my voice from, yeah, this I kind of like call it conscious composing, like just coming out of me and through me.
Mhm.
So yeah, so Shira is I believe I'm the frequency of Shira. And Shira means soul song.
Mm.
So when that came through in one of the, I was in the studio, I was creating a song. I think it's Into Me. No, it was the Song of Noor, and this word Shira. I heard it as I was re-listening
Mhm.
once it had been mastered and put out to the world, and I was like, "What's Shira?" So Shira is the soul song, and then Cosmic Songbird. I think they're together actually. I think Shira would sit by the water. People would come to her to be cleansed, to be healed, to ask the questions, like I was saying, to find healing through sound and speaking.
Mm.
And then I see that Shira would turn into a bird,
Ooh.
and she would then go and deliver the messages across Atlantis.
Okay. Mhm.
And
I
that
like
is something that I, a couple of years ago, would not be saying out loud.
under the like belief that it's too spiritual or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, also just having, yeah, or insane, or how can that be true? But everything is a puzzle. It's all leading to each other. The missing pieces are coming in, Um, yeah, and yeah, these visions are. Yeah, there's the Fleetwood Mac song. I keep my visions to myself, but no more.
Yes.
I'm a visionary, and I believe that there is, we were talking about the councils, that there is a galactic council that I'm connected to as well. And
Mhm.
I think that will become obvious as I let myself and Cosmic Songbird open up on the 22nd.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh, I can't
yeah, so
wait.
so I feel like it's the difference between the channeling because it is coming from, really feel it's coming through my DNA, through the remembering the practices that I'm doing in order to yeah, remember who I was before, remember who I was born to be. And this
Mhm.
theme came up in my book, Light the Way, as well. Yeah, so that's who Cosmic Songbird is.
Thank you for that introduction. I can't wait to meet her more intimately in your light language summit session.
Mm.
Okay. The before last question that I'll ask you is I've seen you do something unique, many things, but I haven't seen this one anywhere before. And I like watching your face trying to figure out where I'm going with it. Um, you will code quantum equations from conversation. And
Ai. Ika
as
tarumushta akiti urukutoru mi taara akituru. You see, yes, go on, go on, go on.
as someone who, yes, I like have heard many of the codes come through, and also I'm very, I have an affinity for math.
Mm.
And so I've seen you write these codes and equations. And so I'm curious, like, how those pieces have come together for you. And yeah.
Mm. So when the power of us started coming through last year, um, I haven't branded it or anything. It's on, it's within my Cosmic Songbird and my website. But I saw us as an equation.
Mm,
I just, and sometimes I see myself as an equation.
mm-hmm,
I see myself as the codes. I see the computer inside. I see the programming. I see, like right now I'm kind of seeing a lot of blips, a lot of, I mean, I've never written code before, but like I see it, and I see it maybe in colors. And the more I'm expanding into my higher self and into these new levels and layers of consciousness, um, I- yeah, it, it's something that is coming, yeah, just naturally coming through me. And actually, about Emily Doe, who kind of was my partner in The Power of Us last year, she said, Natalie, I've just got this vision of you, and you're transparent, and all I'm seeing is codes.
mm,
And so I think you're tapping into a future self kind of question of what's going to be coming up more and more. And I think you and I are going to be really aligned in this. Like, I'm fast. Like, you know, I'm fast. Things, I think sometimes just don't work quick enough for me. But we're
mm,
going into this new age, I think, where technology and AI is helping us as well to connect into new levels of speed and consciousness. And I don't really know where that's going myself, but
mm-hmm,
there's something that's, yeah. So thank you for asking that question. And yeah, I mean, we're talking about codes. The codes are within us.
mm-hmm,
But yeah, it's starting to come out and through, yeah, through the writing as well. To
mm-hmm.
be visible, to be visible for people to absorb in a different way rather than hearing through seeing.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's so many, like, so many threads to pull. But I'm gonna leave us on an air of mystery with that one. And if anybody's curious of what I'm talking about and receiving some of these codes, land in Natalie's DMs. I'm sure you'll
Mm,
have lots to connect on and share there. And
mm,
also come see us at the Light Language Summit, April 22nd for Natalie's
mm,
session and April 17th for mine. And I will get this out before then so that just can ripple its way to who it's meant to land with. And
mm.
before I let you go here, is there anything else besides the Light Language Summit that you're inviting people into right now? Any events you have coming up or any offers that are hot on the storefront?
Yeah, I just created my first piece of merchandise, which I'm super,
Oh,
super excited about. So it's on my Spotify artist page, which is Cosmic Songbird.
that'll be all
And
linked
it's
below.
Yeah, and it's a 3-day voice activation.
Mm,
So each of the recordings are 3 to 5 minutes. So it's very, very simple, something you can add into your kind of, your practice, and just, yeah, if you're curious to know what the work is, yeah, I encourage you to go in there, and it's there and waiting. It's there
amazing.
and waiting. Yay. And use your voice, Just place your hand, on just between the throat and the heart, on that thymus there, and just know that your sound, your tone is unique, it's beautiful, and yeah, I wish to hear it.
Mhm. Mm.
Mm,
A beautiful ending note. Thank you. Thank
mm,
you for your time and your energy and your presence and being here today.
thank you so much. Thank you. Mwah.